everyone, it's Yamina. I hope you all are doing well. In today's video, I wanted to just discuss that women who identify with the exotical community are not anyone's secret enemies. And I'm going to try to make this video as concise as possible. But first, let me start out by reading what the word exotic means and then exotical. So exotic, there's one definition introduced from another country. Definition 2 is strikingly or excitingly different or unusual. That's from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. And exotic, number 3, attractive or striking because colorful or out of the ordinary. And then exotical, for those of us who use the term online and who are part of the exotical community, it is a slang term that used to be a derogatory term originally, and it does not have it's not referencing who we date at all. Like, it's not talking about who we date or don't date, but it's a slang term now for the online community of women that reclaim the word and use it to find a community of women who look like them and or felt like them, feeling othered by black spaces online and sometimes in real life, even though they have black or African DNA too. This includes light-skinned black women, biracial women, multi-generationally mixed women, and mixed women of all shades, and in parentheses being mixed or looking mixed. These women may have benefited from isms, featureism, texturism, colorism, just based on the way they look to others, but they can also experience colorism within the black community, or they can experience racism outside of the black community. And exoticals can also be Afro-Latinas, Latinas, and other racial groups as well, but most currently online are of African descent with and without other mixes. So that definition that I read is a definition that I put together from following the exotical community for about a year online now. And it's not like the fast and hard definition of it, but that's basically what I picked up from what it is. And I found the exotical community because I was trying to research what colorism was, and I ended up stumbling upon about 2 different channels, one being Exoticals United, the other one I think was Brown Skin Exoticals. And I started following it back in January of 2023 officially, and in summertime of July 2024, I went back home for my grandfather's memorial service, and at some point when I was with my mom and her husband, she was calling me and my biracial and mixed cousins exotic. Like, she was saying something and she put us all in the same category of being exotic. And I was kind of surprised because I personally do not use that word to describe anyone. And it's because when I was using that word growing up, the few times that I used it, people seemed to be uncomfortable. They seem to not like that word to describe them. And even though I was using it as a compliment, a lot of people did not seem to take it as a compliment. So I was like, okay, let me stop using this word. And now there are people online who feel like people calling themselves exotical is calling themselves exotic. And there are a few exoticals who do use the word exotic interchangeably, and there are a few who use it in their names, but that's just how they decided to use it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that does not mean that they're saying that black women or any woman of African descent who doesn't identify as an exotical is not exotic, because we are not competing for the title of being called exotic. We're just using exotical to identify with a group of women who identify with the topics and the stories and the different things that we talk about. So it's not about trying to say that anybody is not exotic because we are supposedly the only exotic people. That's definitely not what anyone's trying to say. It's exotical versus exotic. Anyone can be exotic to anyone else, and it's just, does that person actually use the word exotic to usually describe people, or do they not use the word exotic to describe people? Like I said, I personally do not, and it's not, I just don't. the world to me is made up of beautiful people, handsome people, cute people, and in general, like the most ugly thing that I could find about a person is usually their behavior, is what makes me think someone is ugly. But in general, like I don't go around saying this person is not exotic, this person is ugly, this person is black. What? I'm black too. Like I don't use that, I don't say that I'm black all the time, but I am. I'm African American, I'm multi-generationally mixed. I identify as a woman of color as well. So yeah, being exotical, like identifying with the exotical community, is not calling anyone else not exotic. This is not what it's about. And even though some of the exoticals are light skinned, there's also brown skin exoticals and there's also dark skin exoticals. And they are not saying one skin tone is better than the other. It's just that they happen to identify with the community regardless of their skin tone. And women identifying as being pretty is not the only factor of being part of the exotical community. It's just that there's at least 2 channels who specifically have the nickname of Pretty Girl Club, and there's nothing wrong with being called Pretty Girl, because being called Pretty Girl does not exclude anyone else who doesn't identify with the exotical community from calling themselves a pretty girl or a pretty woman. That is not the point. Like, and I noticed this growing up, and even with myself, like sometimes people would say something to me about themselves and I would internalize it and be like, oh wow, this person's talking about me. And they were literally talking about themselves. So I had to learn to like not internalize what someone was saying and turning it back onto myself. I had to say, oh, this person's talking about themselves, they're not talking about me. So I had to like turn that around and say, this is not about me, this is about them. So yeah. Okay, so the other point I wanted to bring out, with me, I've said this multiple times, many times. But to me, being online since 2015 and following hundreds of channels on YouTube and following hundreds of accounts on Instagram, I follow mostly no, let me make sure I say this correctly. I follow mostly regular and influencer people on Instagram. I follow a few hundred celebrities, and most of them don't post a lot. And I don't even follow most of the most popular celebrities. Most of the celebrities that I follow happen to be like country music stars and Jennifer Garner, and some like R&B R&B people, like, yeah. So it depends. So I follow a lot of music people and country music people, and then influencers and people that I don't know. I follow a few of my relatives on Instagram as well. So yeah, I follow like a few hundred celebrities and a few hundred everyday or influencer people. On YouTube, I follow mostly channels that give me information, or channels that talk about beauty community things, fragrance community things, and story times, Reddit posts, Reddit whatever. And a lot of the people that do these channels, I can actually see them. A lot of the women that I happen to follow are actually from the Black community in one way or another. They are Afro-Latinas, they are Caribbean, they are African, African American, mixed, biracial. Let me see. There might be some, MGMs that I follow, multi-generationally mixed people. And then I follow a whole bunch of other women who are not part of the Black community in any kind of way, because they happen to be like European or white Americans, or they're Latinas, like white Latinas, but Latinas, I usually just say Latinas. And I just follow so many people, And all of the people that I follow them because they're beautiful or handsome or attractive, and I enjoy their content. And I don't sit and watch people just because they're good looking. I sit and watch people or listen to people because I enjoy hearing what they say, and I enjoy listening to them. So people being attractive is like obviously a bonus, but I also just think in general that people are beautiful, and I think they're beautiful whether they identify as black, whether they identify as white, whether they identify as mixed, Asian, indigenous, like whatever. Like people are beautiful. God, to me, God created everyone, and God created a beautiful planet of humans. And yeah, being a part of the exotical community is not us being in competition with anyone. Whenever people actually pay attention to what's going on online, they realize, oh yes, there are some people who are talking poorly about people who look different from them, even though they technically would be considered part of the same racial group of people. So yeah, I think I kind of think that's all I want to say. So, no one who identifies with the exotical community is in secret competition with any black women, with any BWE women, with any, yeah. And like personally, like all of the people that I follow who are part of the black community in some kind of way or another, whether they talk about black issues or social issues or not, I follow them because they they feel like a part of me. Like I said, following the exotical community is just a way for me to feel part of black people since I am not in the black community at all. I haven't been in the black community for years. And being able to have connection with women who are of African descent, who are Caribbean, who are African, who are mixed biracial, like I literally everyone that I follow who is of African descent in one way or another, from the beauty community, from the fragrance community, and from other commentary or lifestyle channels, they're absolutely beautiful, and I just feel like I get to see people who I don't see every day, and so I appreciate that because I don't see black people every day. So I I feel like I lost the plot right now. I feel like I lost my train of thought. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I have to do this video again. Okay, that's the end of my video. I will talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.